In other news, tense moments on the campaign trail last week as protesters clashed with police outside the Trump rally in San Diego. This, as we learn Americans have a lack of faith in government and the political process. According to a new poll, 70% of voters are frustrated, 55% feel helpless, and 52% are angry.
So what would help bring these people together during this election season? We're going to bring in Fox News religion contributor, Father Jonathan Morris.
Good morning. I'm going to bring everyone together in 30 seconds. Watch this.
Good,
ready, set,
go. Is government the answer to bring everyone together?
No, that's a great point, Clayton. And there is great frustration. And even if we look at the negatives of both of the presumptive nominees, it's over 50%. In other words, people are not excited about going to vote for their candidate. But I think that's okay. You know, we're not choosing a president, we're not choosing a spouse or a best friend. We're choosing someone who can gradually, and that's the operative word here, gradually move forward the country in a positive direction. We're also choosing, when we choose whoever we're going to vote for, we're choosing against somebody, and that's an okay thing too, who would do a worse job at that, or who would take the country in another direction. So I think the frustration of, I don't have a perfect candidate, can be minimized by saying, I'm only going to do my part in choosing the one who I think would do a better job than the other based on my fundamental values.
What is your message for people who are just so fed up? They're at a tipping point. I mean, we're seeing these protests on both sides, really, in some cases even turn violent. If they're feeling that anger inside, what's your answer?
Well, I think the Never Trump group and the Never Hillary group with the Democrats, I think is a big mistake. Because by saying I'm not going to vote for Trump, no matter what happens, I'm voting for Hillary. And the same thing on the Democratic side. We have to be very rational about our vote and say, I'm going to do something that is a gradual, an incremental step towards where I want to be, and not worry about everything else, because there's certain things we simply cannot change.
Well, there's this frustration, though, in Washington, and there's this disillusion among Americans, and it's been tapped into on the Bernie Sanders side, it's been tapped into on the Donald Trump side, this disaffection with Washington. You make all these promises to us all the time about our wallets, and then you get to Washington and you ignore us, the middle class.
Right. Yep.
There's a real visceral hatred of Washington and politicians. So what are you hearing when you, on Sundays in church, when folks have lost their job, they're trying to pay for their family to go to college? What do you hear?
Well, I think you said it right at the beginning, Clayton. If we're depending on government or a perfect candidate or a perfect party or a perfect election cycle to make us happy, we're looking all in the wrong places. Thank God in the United States of America and Canada and so many other places, we have freedom. We can choose to make our families better. We can choose to get up off the couch and do something for ourselves. It might not be perfect, but if we're going to wait until somebody else does that for us in Washington, my gosh, we're going to be waiting for a very long time.
And when people are asking religious leaders for advice about, I'm so angry, what should I do? Do you sense that part of the political component of their anger is because normally they would rely on maybe something that the Pope said, but a couple months ago there was great unrest among a lot of Catholics because they didn't like the progressive stances that he was taking about things like climate change and immigration.
I hear that all the time on Facebook and Twitter, people saying, now I'm mad at my Pope, now I'm mad at my president, now there's nobody to elect. I think we have to stop and say we live in a society where communication is like it never was before. Nobody knew what the Pope was saying 200 years ago on a Sunday in the Vatican. We know things today, and then of course there's a lot of misinformation too. We see all the nasty stuff people say on social media. We say, stop, people aren't that bad. Really, they're not that bad. They're worse on Facebook and Twitter than they are in real life. Things aren't so bad. Make your communities better. Make your families better. And choose the candidate who is not just less bad, but choose the one who will gradually, incrementally move the country forward. And if you get it wrong, if we pick the wrong guy, big deal. Life's going to move on.
Do you have a message on this Memorial Day weekend?
First of all, gratitude. Gratitude for our freedom, for those who gave their lives. I heard this morning over 1 million Americans have died for our country or have been missing still for our country over the years. That's a lot of people. And they gave their life so we could have freedom. And freedom is a very good thing because we can choose to use freedom to love and to serve rather than to hate and to be selfish. What a blessing.
Yeah, take the opportunity this Memorial Day holiday weekend. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.